Hello, hello. Welcome back to the $1 Million Mondays call, where we give you information, education, inspiration, and motivation. Hopefully, we're helping you to level up your career. If you've been in real estate for a couple years and you're still trying to figure out your way, Recharge University has brought the $1 Million Mondays calls to YouTube, and we're hoping that this information you can utilize to help to grow and elevate your business. Today, with us, we have a special guest who will be talking to us about the BRRRR method, not only the method and the strategy for investors in real estate, but also how do you finance these projects. I'm your host, Anita Ellison Jones, the CEO broker, and we're excited to be with you today. So we're just going to jump right on in. I remember when I started in real estate almost 20 years ago now, there was a lot of information. Foreclosures were huge. The market was actually on a downturn, and I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a mentor, and I didn't feel like I had a community. So here at Recharge University, one of the biggest things that I think a real estate professional needs to be successful is a community. And that's what we're bringing to you at Recharge University. You can take tons of courses, but at the end of the day, what you need are people. It's not the courses you take, but it's the hands you shake. And so here at Recharge University, we're bringing you tons of amazing professionals for you to network with who share their contact information, and you can learn from their successes. So I want to bring to the stage an individual who graduated from Rochester Institute of Technology with a bachelor's degree of science in mechanical engineering before earning a master's of business administration with a concentration in finance. Now, what I love about his background is most real estate professionals don't have that level of astuteness in education before going into real estate. Sometimes it becomes like a second career. So he has a very high level in finance, a degree, master's degree in finance. And so I love that, which is very fitting for what he does today. Most recent ventures was to develop a new 14 unit new construction building during the pandemic. He leveraged his practical insight and problem solving mindset and authentic leadership to tackle the inherent challenges that developers face in ground up construction. He is the chief loan strategist for BRRRR Cash. He empowers the dreams of real estate investors by helping them secure the right financing for their deals on their wealth building journey to financial freedom. And during his free time, who has free time these days, right? But during his free time, he enjoys teaching his daughter how to play chess, vacationing, DIY smart home tech integration, and barbecuing. I love that. Sounds like my husband as well. So, the individual that I'm going to bring to you today is also a member of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is how we met. We were both graduates from the NARAB Black Developer Academy. So I want to bring to the stage Owen Dublin. Welcome to $1 Million Mondays, Owen.
Thank you for having me. So, how I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to share some information with everyone here on the call today. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna jump in. Good morning, everyone. Share my screen and get this presentation going. And if you have any questions in the chat as I'm going through it, feel free to throw it in the chat, and then that way we can jump straight to the questions right after the presentation.
Perfect. I'm gonna let you take over.
Okay.
And it'll be your show.
All right. Can everyone see my screen? All right. I take that as a yes. So once again, my name is Owen Dublin. My company is BRRRR Cash, and this is my quote for real estate investing: fear plus action equals growth. You know, in your journey, you're going to have some fear, but as you take the action, you get to the growth side. A little about me: I'm the founder of BRRRR Cash. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I've been a real estate investor for almost 20 years. I'm also a chess player. I worked in corporate America for about 10 plus years. I'm also an alum of the Project REAP Fellowship Program, and that's to get more minorities into commercial real estate industry. I'm also, as Nita mentioned, I'm part of the inaugural class of the 2024 NARAB Black Developers Academy. I'm also a member of the GoBundance Mastermind Emerge Academy as well. So it's always good to be in different accountability groups along your journey. And here's my small disclaimer: I'm not an accountant, I'm not an attorney. Seek legal advice and tax advice from professionals. So I typically start off showing my first purchase back in 2006, um, because this is my first home that I purchased, I lived in. And I show it because, as you can see here, this is my dining room, had the wallpaper, different type of colors on the wallpaper. It wasn't fancy. This is the kitchen I lived in when I purchased my first home back in 2006. And this is my living room. The carpet has some stains on the wall. I had an extra cabinet there in the living room. But I show this because I meet people who are either first-time investors or new first-time home buyers, and they want things to be perfect. But my message is that your first home or investment property does not have to be perfect. It's more important to start owning property as soon as possible, because that action of owning property as soon as possible, you don't know what you're supposed to do unless you start owning property. And so this is my definition about real estate investing. It's a project with inputs and outputs. If managed well, it will lead to desired outcomes. And the real estate investor is responsible for the outcome of the project. And I'll repeat that part. The real estate investor is responsible for the outcome of the project. You may hire a GC, you may hire subs, but it's still your project. You're still the overall project manager and CEO of whatever that project is. And here's some fun facts about investing in real estate. One is that you don't need to have a job. You don't need a 2-year employment history. You don't need any personal income or business income. You can be self-employed. It's easier to buy real estate investment properties. So about my company, we're a commercial mortgage broker. We provide loan solutions for real estate investors along your journey for different asset types, some single family, multifamily, mixed use, rehab loans, DSCR, fix and flip loans, 30-year fixed options for long-term debt. Also, like short-term debt can be 12, 24 months. And typically, just to summarize it, as a real estate investor, you might need rehab money, which is typically, short-term money, like 12 to 24 months. And then once the property is functional or rent ready, you can get a 30-year fixed loan. Here's a flow chart of like I'm a visual learner. And I do this because typically the real estate process is kind of different from when you purchase a home versus investment property. When you a house to live in, you go to financial institution, get a pre-approval letter, and then you search for properties. For like the fix and flip, or you're doing a BRRRR strategy, you want to contact us, get in touch with your realtor, discuss your investing goals, view the property, and then after you view the property, you'll run your numbers, your investor. You figure out your purchase price, your rehab amount, the after-repair value, and then send those numbers to us, and then we'll get you pre-qualified. So that's the big difference, is that you're going to see the property first before you even get your pre-qualification letter, because you have to see it to get your numbers for that particular property, because these loans are property specific for real estate investors. And then so once you submit your offer, you're under contract, you're going to do the same stuff as like clearing conditions as far as appraisal, title. We do want you to purchase this in an entity such as an LLC. You're also going to have a scope of work because you're doing a rehab loan. And then once you close on the property, you're going to complete the renovation. And then after you complete the renovation, you may sell it and do a flip, or you can rent and refinance it and do the BRRRR strategy. So no matter which path you take, flip or the BRRRR strategy, there is a rehab component that needs to happen first. And then based off of your numbers, you can either sell the property as a flip or keep it as a rental doing the BRRRR strategy. Here's some sample questions we'll ask you: is like the property address, is property type, purchase price, rehab costs, after repair value, your estimated credit score. So as an investor, you kind of need to know your numbers. And over time, you get better at it. Here's some other general information for a rehab loan. Preferred credit score above 700. We do have options for below 700, but we have more options available to 700 and above credit score. First-time investors are okay. And then typically, when it comes to the loan structure, we cover probably up to 90% of the purchase price, and then we'll fund 100% of the rehab costs. Preferred minimum loan amount is $150,000. Loan term for the short-term money is typically about 24 months, can close in about 3 weeks and sometimes faster. And right now we do have some options where the appraisal fee is waived as well. And some of the factors that can impact your rate can be the amount of money you borrowed as far as loan to value, your credit score, and also your experience as an investor. So here's a quick scenario, so a quick example. So here's a property here, purchase price, $100,000, rehab, $75,000, after repair value is $250,000. And as you see at the bottom left side of the screen, I just did some, we added the purchase price, rehab amount, and got $135,000. And then we divided it by the after repair value, and we got 70%. And I show that because as an investor, you want to make sure that you're doing a rehab loan to force that equity appreciation of property instantaneously because of rehab work. So make sure that you're making sure that you're creating that value in the property from doing all of that rehab. And 70% is a good target, even 65%. But they're just a good example. Just make sure that you're creating value after you do your purchase and your rehab. This is a sample of how the loan can potentially look. You'll have the loan amount of the purchase amount of 10% down, so $90,000. Then you have your rehab holdback, and then that combined is your total loan amount. The terms are typically interest only. The rate can be between 10 to 15%. And yes, the rates are high because it's a short-term loan designed for you to create equity in the property with the rehab. The loan terms, 12 months, and then also no prepayment penalty as well. So that means if you're done with rehab in 1 month, you can sell the property right away, or you can try to start the process to refinance it and keep the property as a rental. So here we're going to talk about a DSCR rental loan, and it's a little bit different questions for this type of loan product, but it's still based off of the property numbers. So once again, you're going to contact us, give a realtor, see their property, and with the DSCR rental loan, you're going to look at the as-is value of the purchase price, the rental amount, the property taxes, and the hazard insurance, and also if it has it as well, you may have association dues as well. Similar conditions as before. And here are the questions. It said property address, property type, property value, rents, tax, and hazard insurance, and your estimated credit score. Your credit score is important, so make sure you are taking care of your credit score. Here is some general information. Credit score is needed typically above a 660. We do have options for below 660. Typically, we can fund up to 80% of the purchase price, and also or do a refinance up to 80% of the purchase of the current value of the property. Loan amount, typically $100,000 preferred. Can do loan terms up to 30-year fixed, very similar to a conventional loan. Also have adjustable rate mortgage options called ARMs. We also even have interest only options as well, depending on your investment strategy. And typically you can close in about 30 days. The appraisal fee is going to vary. And then also too, if you happen to be an investor that purchased the property cash and does a rehab cash, we can cash you out right away to refinance if you're doing the BRRRR strategy. So we have multiple options available depending on what you need. And here are some quick examples why people will utilize a rental loan or DSCR loan. So the first one, refinance an investment property to long-term debt after completing the rehab. So this is where you would do the BRRRR strategy where you buy the property, you rehab it, you rent it, refinance, repeat. So it's a very popular strategy. And this is where your numbers have to work, where you're creating the equity, but also too, if you want to do the BRRRR strategy too, you're going to make sure that the rent amounts make sense for you to keep as a rental as well when you refinance the 30-year fix. But if not, you can just flip the property and get the equity that way. Another reason is that people might have the property ready and they want to tap into the equity that's already in the property. So basically a cash or refinance. Also, you may want to refinance to reduce the interest rate and improve your cash flow. And then you may want to purchase an investment property that's already in moving condition, and the property can be vacant or occupied. And once again, the loan is based on the property's income, not your personal income. So here's another loan option that we have called it basically, if you already have the property already, you might have got it at an auction 5 years ago, or you inherited the property and it needs rehab. Basically, we have a product we call it the already owned investment property. And for this so we can do as is cash out refinance on the current value of the property that's not rehabbed yet, and we'll give you funds to rehab the property. So I do have a quick example to visualize it. So we're going to assume that the current as is value of the property is $150,000. It needs $75,000 in rehab, and then the after repair value is $300,000. So with this scenario, we can give you the cash out would be, for example, $105,000 upfront based off the as is value, and then on top of that, we'll give you $75,000 to rehab the property. And then once it's done, you can either sell the property or you can refinance the property. But this is a short-term loan designed to give you money to rehab the property and also give you some money in your hand to tap to the equity that currently exists in the property. So this is a very nice loan product. We have another one called the low credit score cash or refinance options. So if you have a property ready that's already functional and your credit score is impacted, we do have an option to give you a cash out. Your credit score can be below 550, and that's still okay. We can do it for single family, multifamily, mixed use, and other asset types. And it'll be a 30-year fix, and it can give you an option to, like I said, tap into equity independent on your credit score situation. So just a reminder, fun facts, you don't have to have a job. You can have DTI is maxed out when you purchase your primary residence, and you can still buy investment property. So just don't, it's a totally different process. We can look at the asset numbers to determine the loan structure. So now we're going to jump into a nice bonus topic. So I mentioned earlier in the presentation, in 2006, I purchased my first home. And then 10 plus years later on, I decided to become a new construction real estate developer. And that doesn't happen if I don't take the action to buy my first home 10 plus years ago. So that's why it's important, no matter where you are on your journey, to just start, because you don't know what you're supposed to do if you never start. So this is, me at the site, this is the lot. It's me at the site, and I, put in there, fear plus action equals growth, because this was done during the pandemic. And so this is a few pictures of the building where, like I said, no matter where you are on your journey, you got to start, because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing the next 5, 10, 15 years later down the road if you don't start. And so this property here is 14 units, about 15,000 square feet, a mix of 6 one-bedrooms, 6 two-bedrooms, and 2 three-bedroom apartments. And here I'm gonna jump into like zoning, because I was not a developer by training. So I said, what do I need to learn, or what do I want to outsource? And one thing is I wanted to learn was zoning, right? If I'm going to do new construction, I need to understand land and what do the different codes mean. So this is, Philadelphia had a zoning manual guide. And I can tell you the first 20 times it didn't make sense what I was reading, but I didn't stop. I just kept on going. And after like the 50th time, it started to make sense, all the different codes that I was reading in the manual. And because of that, the lot that I showed you, I found it on the MLS, because at that point my investor lens changed, because I got better and I understood zoning. And most investors who don't want to learn more, they were not, they weren't looking for what I was looking for at that point in time. And so quick, insight to zoning, just for your reference, is that you can find opportunities if you know zoning, because typically you may have a zoning code of a piece of land, and you have the by right, zoning code, or you might have a variance. So even though you may see a single family home on a plot on land, it doesn't mean that land is not zoned for multifamily. So if you know the zoning codes, you can spot opportunities that people cannot spot, because you understand what the different zoning means for a particular piece of land. And that can allow you to then take that property down and rebuild a multifamily by right. And if it's not by right, then typically you have to go through the variance process, and the process will vary based off your local township and municipality. So I would just say, if you want to be a real estate investor or whatever you want to do, get better at zoning, or you can hire a great zoning attorney to the way you can learn that knowledge faster. Just a quick timeline. Purchase land 2020. And as you can see here, a lot of different permits, the MEPs, and it's a long journey. And so we started it in 2020 officially. I started my process mentally a year or two prior, and then we finished the project end of 2023. And as of 2024, we're fully occupied. But real estate development, it's a long journey. It's about a 5-year project, and you got to keep on moving forward. I can tell you, when you're a developer or even an investor, you're going to make decisions, you're going to solve problems, and you're going to motivate the team. And so you got to have the problem solver mindset, because you don't know what problem you need to solve along the journey. And also, don't let not knowing the answers stop you from starting something, because it's more important to have the mindset that you're ready to solve a problem versus try to solve all 100 problems, because it's so many different things you're going to encounter. So just be ready to solve the problem, and that'll get you through no matter where you are in your journey. I'm gonna leave you here. Run your race. There's a lot of noise, and block out the noise and focus on your journey and what you're supposed to do. Here's a scenario where I started the race and I knew I was not going to win the race, but that wasn't important to me. What was important was that I was going to start the race and run my race, and I was going to finish my race. Because once you do that, it doesn't matter what place you come in, because you ran your race and you will finish. So in this scenario here, I ran the New York City Marathon in 2015. And as you can see, I came in like 48,000th place, and I was super excited. It didn't matter I was 48,000th place, because I finished New York City Marathon, and that was what was important to me, was to actually finish the marathon running my race. So block out the noise and then running your race. Final message is, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's part of the journey. Go to networking events, say hello to strangers. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Identify problems and be willing to solve them. Ask yourself, how can I become better? Don't say it's another problem. Just always, how do I keep getting better? Personal development, read some more books, join different accountability groups. Always keep getting better. What is your why? Have as many as you want. The more the better. And it's actually easier the more you put down versus trying to find just one why. Put down multiple whys. And then lastly, don't be afraid to bet on yourself. You don't want to live life and then look back and say, 15 years ago, I had that opportunity and I didn't take it. Don't be afraid to bet on yourself. And then fear plus action equals growth. This is my QR code to link straight to my calendar. You can also reach out to me from BRRRRcash.com. And also at the bottom right is the email address. So I'm easy to get a hold of. I also put my information in the chat. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it back over to Sanita.
Excellent. Outstanding presentation, Owen. Thank you so much for being our special guest. You dropped some gems, especially at the end. I love what you said about running your race. I think one of the biggest things that can be so intimidating for the newer investor is just getting started, right? And, even myself, when I look at, I have all of this knowledge, I've done all of this research, and it's like, just do it already. Just execute. You're going to make mistakes. It doesn't matter how much you're prepared. There's going to be something in the transaction that you weren't prepared for. That's the life part of the process. That's the life lesson. And so that's like with anything. You don't know until you start doing. One question I have for you, you guys have a number of products, and I love that you have a lot of variation in your product range for whether you have a low credit score or high credit score. And the product seems to be based on the project as opposed to the individual's income. That's a challenge for a lot of investors as well, because they're so highly leveraged. Credit sometimes impact, income is sometimes impact, as well as assets. What is the loan to value that you guys are looking at when you're lending? I want to say the product was specifically for the cash out refinance, or
okay.
yeah.
So for the, I guess maybe it was the rental loan or the DSCR. So typically, if you're going to purchase the property, you might put down either 20 to 25% down for like a 1 to 4 unit property. Was that the particular one you were referring to?
I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're purchasing like a single family home, it might be 20% down for a purchase of a property that's already turnkey and functional.
Okay. And then there was another product where you give money to do the rehab. What is the loan
Yes.
that you lend up to on that?
So for the rehab loan, so if you're doing a purchase, So it's just two pieces of it. There's a purchase side and then there's the rehab side. So when you purchase the property, that purchase price, it might be where you lend 90% of the value, and then we're gonna give you 100% of the rehab money as well.
Really?
Yes. So because maybe you have to you gotta own, yes. So you have to purchase the property and then the rehab. And the rehab is reimbursement style. So it's 100%, but you would need some starting capital to start the rehab to get reimbursed as you do the work. But yeah, it can be as low as 10% down on the purchase side of it.
So you do draws for the rehab
Yes.
money. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I like that. Well, I don't see any additional questions. I do see that Owen put his information in the contact. So if you guys have any additional questions, his phone number is 267-777-8650. Email is, and that's 4 R's,
Yes.
BRRRR cash@gmail.com. And his Calendly link is in the comments as well if you want to schedule a one-on-one, if you have any additional questions after this call ends. Well, I just want to thank you again for being with us. You shared some amazing, amazing gems, information that I believe our audience will be able to actually utilize. And so I encourage everyone to reach out to you if they have any additional questions and to get started, get in the race. Like you said, get in the race.
Thank you.
And run your race. All right. Thank you for being with us. And thank you all for joining the $1 Million Monday call, where we give you information, education, inspiration, and motivation to help you to level up your career. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.